Story 1. She left when my son was 4 without a conversation. Moved in with another guy. Left him with me and all was good. Boom, the judge gave her 50-50 after a year of her not being present. So I'd say my son losing 50% of his childhood because someone else made a decision is beyond hard to comprehend and deal with. Story 2. Confidence in my own decisions. A divorce makes you question everything you know because the person you trusted and believed in the most was a complete lie. It is the ultimate gaslighting. Took me many years to recover from that. Story 3. The name my ex and I had picked for a daughter if we had one. Her and the man she got pregnant by gave their daughter that very name. That hurt. Kiddo is super cute, by the way. None of the drama is her fault. Still, felt like a slap to the face. Story 4. My grandfather had passed down a 1965 Fender Stratocaster guitar to me that I lost. At that point, I realized being married to an attorney really sucked. Story 5. I had just about finished renovating our house the way she wanted it after 18 months of hard work. I realized I was going to be pushed out once done. That wasn't as hard a hit as I expected due to the blood, sweat, and tears. I lost 2 beautiful kids gradually as their thoughts were poisoned. I sold everything I owned to try and win them back through family court. They started telling a truth that was fed to them at the end of the trial and didn't want any contact. I haven't spoken to my 13 and 10-year-olds in over 6 months. Because of my ex, every beautiful, caring, trustworthy woman ahead of her is measured to a higher standard, and I hate that the most. Story 6. Aside from the large amount of money she absconded with, the most spiteful thing was stealing my gun collection after she was told not to dispose of property. She only missed 4. Still worth it. Story 7. It wasn't losing anything. It was gaining the knowledge of how lost I had been for a massive part of that relationship, realizing how much time I had wasted trying to hold a long-dead relationship together. I suppose the loss was the possible future I thought we had and the realization that much of my life was a lie I told myself. That's a pretty tough pill to swallow. Story 8. My house that I sold to purchase our marital home. The $48,000 down payment I put on the purchase of the new home. She had no money to contribute at the time. My belief in serious relationships. Her behavior towards me a month after getting married was the straw that broke the camel's back. Having to give her the house for $1 so that we could get divorced. The house was too upside down to be sold at the time. That was over a decade ago, and I've fully recovered financially and emotionally. I now have my own home. I've been single since the divorce, and my life is pretty darn good. Story 9. Speaking on behalf of what my father went through, he became so depressed that a doctor told him he would damage his brain permanently if he didn't start taking antidepressants. Even when he was on antidepressants, he couldn't eat and lost so much weight that multiple people in the family thought he had cancer. So he almost lost his brain, sanity, and physical health, which in my opinion is worse than death. Story 10. I was stationed in England in the United States Air Force. I picked out a set of china. The wife didn't even look at them. It was Rosewood Porcelain Company with 24-karat gold trim, 12-piece settings, including a teapot and holders. It took me years to pay it off, the main thing she took from me. Story 11. Trust in other human beings. It was also a huge lesson, and I learned the hard way how delusional we are sometimes in a relationship. I was ready to die and do everything for her, and this was a mistake. Story 12. The vast majority of my social circle. The idea that the end of our marriage caused our daughters to avoid marriage and having kids. I think my divorce and the things that led up to our divorce cost me the possibility of grandchildren. Story 13. It all hurts. Even if it is fair, both people lose 50% of everything, family, money, stuff, etc. It basically feels like you were robbed completely blind by a person you once loved. The worst part is that your ex feels the same way. No wonder so many divorces are ugly. Story 14. Not for the faint of heart. I lost everything except 2 bags of clothes. I was married to a lawyer who came from a law family and simply got whipped by the most evil Cruella de Vil playbook and false narratives you couldn't dream of. For years later, I haven't spoken to her or the kids or anyone involved in the pure evil. Cold-hearted, narcissistic nightmare. Story 15. Me as that person in that relationship and all the friends and family that went with it. Now that is all gone. Those friends aren't the same to me anymore. Her family is just awkward towards me. I liked her and her friend ecosystem. Now it's not there anymore. They were more worth it than she was. That's sad but true. Story 16. My time in general. Marrying my ex was a waste of time. It happens when you have been together for a while, and they cheat on you. Your memories of them become tainted, and you wish you never wasted your time with them. Also, money because that person never kept a job and I was forced to pay alimony. Story 17. Being with my son every day and missing out on those small, everyday nuances and interactions will always break my heart that our time together will forever be in these pre-booked slots. Story 18. I lost a whole lot of expensive possessions, but the most painful was my ability to trust or love fully. I lost the biggest piece of my heart with my failed marriage and lost access to my kids. It's been almost 14 years. I don't think that it will ever get better. I don't think I want it to. I don't think I could survive hurt like that again. Story 19. The love of my life. She did straight up throw out the only 3 possessions I had of my dad's to remember him by. He committed suicide in 2015. The items were a Montana Grizzlies football shirt, his glasses, and wallet, all on him when he did it. Story 20. Being able to go home and talk to someone. It's tough going home after a long day, and it's even tougher to get the energy to do the laundry, dishes, and dinner in complete silence. Story 21. Just to add a wild card to this. My wife and I are still friends. We split 50-50, which was about right from what we both earned. I can visit the kids whenever I want, and she's happier when I visit more, as the two love it. I don't know. Most people's situations are different, but keeping things civil made it work really well. Story 22. My interest in being in a relationship, seriously, not doing that again. One of my daughters tried to tell me I should not live alone and I would probably change my mind, but 20 years since the separation it feels about the same. Story 23. I lost my naivety. I was so innocent. I saw the world through rose-tinted glasses. It took me a while and some therapy to trust again. Funny thing is she used to punch me in the face, and that wasn't the sign to leave. It took cheating for me to leave. Story 24. Time with my daughters. This toxic society and its cultural undercurrents. Insecurity is karma. Karma is trauma. To be insecure is to deny your humanity. Deny your humanity and you deny yourself life. The more borderline, fragmented, and disassociated your sense of self is, the less balanced you are. When your actions are shaped by the parts of others that are not integrated or genuine, you become a vessel for all the parts of these others they deny, and you'll be vicariously lived through unconsciously. Displaying gross narcissism, compounding your trauma, and refusing to face your fears is brain damage. If you can't be radically honest, open, and non-judgmental with people in this life, you'll spiral into a void there may be no way out of. Evil is a collective rejection of your human whole parts that you deem undesirable or disgusting, which unconsciously and inevitably will manifest in you or the people around you if you don't acknowledge and integrate it in a balanced or healthy way. Now you are granted a human moment to make a choice, to accept and invest energy to learn more, or to disregard your humanity and live out and pass on your wounding and trauma. Story 25. I had 7 strokes and became depressed. I told my wife I was feeling suicidal. To help me, 6 days later she started cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend she dated 24 years ago, who is a drug dealer. He had an arrest record including driving under the influence, soliciting prostitutes, bounce checks, drugs, and via civil courts owes about $96,000 to a bunch of people. She started traveling to Florida for work to see him. I found out she was doing it when I found pictures of them fooling around in a photo booth in her purse. Added note, my wife has Parkinson's. We're both in our 40s. She has lots of problems and said she can't get through them without me, but she can't give up her boyfriend. She was supposed to have brain surgery at the end of the summer. I couldn't take any more, so I attempted suicide. While I was in the hospital, my wife had a garage sale and then filed an order of protection against me. She had my car repossessed the same day she filed for divorce. She lied on the stand and got the order of protection extended a year. So my wife threw away 18 years of marriage. Took my house, took my dogs, took all the money, took my car, took my marriage, took my kid. The last one hurts the most. Story 26. Hasn't happened yet, but the money from the sale of our house. I didn't want to live there anymore, so I was happy to walk away. But when she does finally sell it, it's going to make her quite a pretty penny. Story 27. Lost my 1-year-old but 8 nights a month. Lost my brand new home I designed. Lost my dog. Lost my car. Lost the person I thought I knew the best in the world. Turns out I had no idea who she really was. Story 28. The naive belief that had life figured out. The naive belief she wouldn't cheat. The naive belief that youth lasts forever. You'll always have that high-shooting ambition. I lost my light. I lost the person I thought I was. 5 years later, I'm trying to pull myself back together. Seeing as I'm going through marijuana withdrawal, I'm not doing too well. Story 29. My ability to trust again. And not simply women who are obviously individuals, but my ability to trust myself. If I could be so wrong about her for so long, then I clearly am the idiot and cannot be trusted. So, I am alone and comforted by the things I still enjoy. And while the betrayal and grief are terrible, I do admit that my day-to-day life is far more peaceful. I hadn't ever lived without a woman in the home, and if I had before I was married, I very much doubt I would have gotten married. Life is simpler and better without a woman in it. Story 30. My cat, my ex promised and in text said I would get him back once I established a place to live. Well, when that time came, she backed out of said promise. My kids and I are still devastated from it. I hope that woman sprains her ankle every day at work. Story 31. All my friends. We had a huge circle of friends, all from college. They picked her, even most of my fraternity brothers, all because I wanted the divorce. I wasn't happy. I wanted more. There was no other woman, no big plan. I just wanted something my wife couldn't provide. That's simple. Story 32. Full time with the kids. At least I got 6 out of 14 nights, but getting used to not being around them took time. One good thing that came out of it was really being in the moment with them. Story 33. I lost my trust in people. I'm very hesitant to trust anyone as I begin to have feelings for them. Now, I try to navigate relationships while being protective of myself to avoid getting hurt like that again. Story 34. I lost a number of friends. For some reason, married couples tend to prefer staying in touch with the mom when planning things that involve kids. My social circle shrank significantly. Story 35. She gave away my dog to a canine adoption agency while I was at work. I had no recourse because she signed legally binding documents giving sole possession to the agency. This was 12 years ago and I'm still bitter and upset about it. Story 36. The house I had just bought with her. My relationship with her young daughter. My job that I worked at, we both worked at the same place. Thousands of dollars on home renovations like kitchen appliances and beds that I'll never see again. Story 37. Self-worth. The one person who understood you and said you were the greatest thing to happen to them. She even said, I know no one will ever love me as much as you do. If that's not confusing, I don't know what is. Beyond that, she defaulted on storage payments after locking me out. I lost all my pictures from growing up in high school and college, before the digital age. I saved every art project our kids made. I can regain my self-worth, but this stuff I can't. Story 38. My best friend at the time. It was not a standard divorce, I would say. We were getting along very well. I just worked a lot. She had an affair and seemed so cold. When she wanted to get back together, I said no, obviously, and she acted as if I was a stranger from then on. Story 39, a lot, but the single most painful thing is trust. She cheated and never looked back. Now, I have zero faith in anyone else, so I just don't look to date. It seems like the current dating culture is flawed. Story 40. The worst thing was the time with my kid. I still get time with him, but it's far less than getting to see him every day. Her. If it weren't for our kid, I wouldn't ever talk to her again. Things come and go. But time with my son, That is what breaks my heart. Story 41. Daily access to my children was the worst part. I coach their teams, so I do get to see them way more than most parents, though. Divorce is difficult, but staying with a difficult person for the sake of the kids isn't good either. They get to see somewhat normal when they are with me, at least. Story 42. I was lucky. I refused to have kids because we were not being physically involved. She wanted to schedule days to have sex so we could have a kid, but she couldn't just enjoy each other's company daily or weekly. I realized I married a fake person, and all I was to her was another source of passive income, labor, and child production. The only bad thing about the divorce was losing the image or thought of someone I thought I had. It was easier once I realized it was all false. Story 43. My home, my business, my kids. Then there's the unforeseen. Like, I'm now 53 and tired. The economy is bad. In a year of fighting for my half, the price of everything has doubled. I foolishly trusted her and gave her the business, thinking I could start over. She has been dragging me through the coals with money from the business. Story 44. Being with my son every day. I honestly don't care about anything else. It's important for him to have a relationship with his mother, but I have reservations about her having equal parenting time with her parenting style. The law can only help me so much on that front. I'll just do my best despite my ex and her family. In fact, not having her around while I'm with my son allows us to have time uninterrupted by her fussing, controlling, or being jealous of him and me spending time together. Apart from that, it's been a net gain. I may not have as much accrued wealth, but it's given me a degree of liberty, and I haven't felt this good in years.